We received a 911 call regarding 11 from an actual 11-year-old that had mentioned that there was a deceased person inside their house. This is at the location of 48th and Whitman, just right slightly just to the west of, or east of this location. Officers responded. They tried to open up the door. At that time, they were unable to get open the door. They realized there was actually a fire going on. We were in there. We were actually in this location within 5 minutes of the actual 911 call. At this point, what we have been able to determine is we do have a couple of deceased adults and some children that are also part of that. We are working closely with fire department on what this actual situation is actually happened and what unfolded. The child that was out of the house is safe. We are working with that child to determine what happened as well, and then also try to figure out how to get that person the resources and services that are needed. And I'll turn it over to the fire department.
Hello, my name is Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief of the Seattle Fire Department. I want to lead with condolences, but I want to give you a brief on what took place this morning from Seattle Fire Department. About 8:45 this morning, our units were dispatched to a fire as well as a scene of violence at the address at 48th and Whitman. We partnered with SPD when we got on scene because of the scenes of violence threat. Our units coordinated and we initially went into a defensive operation. Most of the fire was off of the front of the structure. That's where you can see most of the heavy charring and everything like that took place. Approximately 45 minutes later, our units called knockdown on the fire. Still coordinating with SPD and working through the different issues associated with this fire. Our units were also concerned with the exposures on the east and the west side, the homes on the east and the west side. So we were protecting those structures, did search on those structures and different things like that. Once we got knocked down on the fire, a short time ago, our units actually went inside and did a search of the structure. And what we found was a deceased person at the front of the structure. We also found a deceased person at the rear of the structure, infant that was deceased, and a child that was deceased, along with the dog. So after we did that thorough search, that's what we found. Our units are still working through the hot spots. We'll be here for a while coordinating with the Seattle Police Department as they start to conduct the investigation. But also I want to say condolences to those who are family and friends of the people who lost their lives today. And I'll pause right there.
Any questions?
Do we know the ages of the children and the deceased?
At this time, we are not confirming. Typically, the medical examiner will then confirm the ages of it. We know who is living there, but we want to make sure that it matches up with those that we find.
Any indication as to whether the fire was intentionally set?
We don't know that right now. Our arson investigators and the bomb unit are on scene, and they're going to be determining the cause of the fire. So they're going to be here for a while doing the investigation. And as Chief Diaz says, along with coordinating with the medical examiner and understanding the cause of death and things like that.
Heard about a possible barricade situation?
We do know that the front door was barricaded with some sort of object that officers were trying to kick down to try and open up the front door. There also was the fire going on, so they were overcome with the smoke, so they ended up retreating, and that's where we started working in conjunction with the fire department.
This may or may not be too early to tell if the fire was the cause of death or if they appear to have any other gunshot wounds or stabbing wounds or...
That will still yet to be determined. Everyone, once the ME ends up, they'll determine the cause of death, whether it's smoke inhalation, whether there's homicidal violence, and that'll actually help us with our investigation as well.
And the 11-year-old, you said that she was, or they were able to get out of the house and call 911?
Yes, they were, and went to a nearby neighbor's house, which we're working with to also be able to reunite with potential other family.
Do we know if the child was a resident here?
At this time, that's what it appears, is that the child that did call 911 was a resident of inside the actual house, but don't know until we actually confirm those that are deceased inside the house if they were actually family related as well. One more question?
You were thinking about the child trying to jump from a window. Is that something?
That initial reports is that the child that did exit the house exited out of a window, but that is still yet, that's just preliminary information right now. So again, all this can change a little bit, but that is actually possibly how she exited the house. One more.
Can you talk to the level of the call? I mean, it must be traumatizing for a child to have possibly seen those adults and other children dead, and to be brave enough to call 911.
Well, I think that's part of what we will determine. I don't know if others in the house were dead at the time she ended up exiting the house. But it's traumatizing for anybody to potentially call 911 and say that there potentially somebody deceased inside the house. So whatever that child is, there's going to be also making sure that they have the resources and services just to talk to people, and just for this neighborhood that's been impacted. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know if this was something that just happened quickly, or if this happened over time. So these are all things that we want to make sure. But I think that our hearts and prayers are with the child that is alive, as well as those that are deceased. But I think trying to make sure that the child does have a healthy recovery as well. Thank you.
The address?
I can't confirm the address right now. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.